Hi everybody, Nick McDonald here. Thank you for joining us for this week's Russell 2000 and Equity Markets commentary. Starting with the Russell here, looking at a monthly chart, we've got that what I described last week as a shallow pullback into at least a 10-period moving average, and we've still got potential for this pullback back into some old highs back down here around about 734, around about 40 points away from where we are now. So still potential for a bit more of a sell-off. The key thing here, though, is we've had the pullback I've been talking about for months in terms of pulling back in to meet the 10-period moving average, pulling back to that zone. Now, it can pull right back down to the 20 and still be in that zone, but the important thing for me is that a good, strong uptrend will always pull back to meet its averages before continuing. That alleviates some of that buying pressure and sets us up for the next move up. So at the moment, I remain bullish on this, and we've had a pullback. Please don't confuse this with being a bad thing. So often when we have pullbacks in the markets, we read so much bad press around that and can really start to think that pullbacks are bad. Pullbacks are a completely normal, natural and healthy part of a good, strong uptrend. They have to happen. This just happens to be a monthly chart pullback at the moment. It's nothing more than that. Let's just have a quick look at the monthly charts on some of the other cash indices, because we talked about these last week as well. The Dow here also having pulled back into what I identified as one of the first levels, around about 12,000. We're back pretty close to the 10-period moving average. We've got potential to pull back a little bit further to around about 11.3. Just having a look at the S&P as well. Similar, we've pulled back here. We've touched the 10-period moving average. We've got potential, to pull back a little bit further. And a lot of these zones are right kind of in the middle of the 10 and 20 period moving average, right in the middle of that buy zone, right where I consider these to be healthy pullbacks. And then come and look at the Nasdaq. This is also pulled back, touched its 10 period moving average. I haven't actually got a line drawn in on that chart, but somewhere in, around about these old highs. Notice on pretty much all of these charts, we've got some precise points. This is a sensible place for price to pull back to if it continues to pull back now. What I'll be doing, though, now that we're in that zone on the monthly chart, is I turn bullish again on the monthly. However, that doesn't mean by any stretch I'll be buying it. It just means I'll start to look for reasons to buy. Coming back, though, to the Russell, and we have to now look at this on daily and weekly charts and decide what is the most likely thing to happen. Now, just here, actually, just one thing to say while I'm looking at my charts here. Ignore this last candle here on the weekly chart. I'm not sure why that is there. Let me just put a blue arrow over it like that. Ignore that candle. We've got this week's candle already appeared for some reason when we don't have a daily candle yet. The market hasn't opened for trading, so I'm not sure exactly why that candle is there. I think it's just a bad tick on TradeStation. So this candle here, the big red candle, is last week's candle. We did sell off here. And we've come back into just a little bit of old support around 770. It's not even a really precise level, but there's some lows. In fact, probably just a little bit lower is really going to be key here. The low of this previous low back here, we haven't broken down through it yet. Also, for me, this is not a really clean change of direction by any stretch. We had a nice series of higher highs and higher lows. We've got a somewhat lower high here. We haven't really confirmed a lower low yet because these previous lows that have been broken were not any kind of major lows. So I really need to see price break down through this low. But if we do, it wouldn't be any kind of short for me because the price would have moved too far too quick. So if I was to even consider entering a short trade, I'd be looking to do so on a pullback up before continuing down. So some kind of pullback up into the averages. For now, I'm not a huge fan of that, but that would start to be a more confirmed change of trend. At the moment, this is just a pullback for me on a monthly chart. Also happens to be pulling back on the weekly, not pulling back significantly, not pulling back with any kind of force or any kind of pattern here which says to me it's likely to be more than just a pullback. At the moment, this looks healthy, it looks normal, it looks like a pullback within an uptrend and one which I believe in the longer term is still likely to continue. For now, they'll be looking for some kind of support down around 765. Certainly the momentum in the short term is down. I'd be looking for shorter term trades in the direction of that trend. The reason I won't be taking longer term trades in that direction is because the longer term momentum is very much up. So we're looking for shorter term short trades, longer term waiting for any kind of setup to occur. Come and look at the daily chart. We've had a pretty good sell-off now there. That's what I mean by moving quick. We've moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. 8 days here we've moved a long way down. And we've moved down pretty much, big chunk of that, probably about half of it in the space of 1 day. But we've moved down pretty consistently thereafter. This is providing good opportunities on lower time frames and intraday time frames, looking for shortened opportunities. So come in here, looking at this 4-hour chart and just doing things like shorting pullbacks into the moving averages and waiting for the candles to turn around. So looking for things like small red candles in the moving average sell zone, like this candle here, like these candles here, as we pull back and then continue to move down, like these candles even back here. These are the kind of shorter term intraday trades I will take in the direction of the downtrend while waiting for that longer term trend to take hold and continue back on up. So at the moment, short term bearish, long term bullish, watching to see what happens. We can see this on the daily chart here, watching to see what happens as price comes down through these lows where it's found support on many occasions before, just coming back to the start of this year. We'll watch and see what happens there. I am quite a big fan here for a bounce because look at that daily chart. It's significantly overextended from its moving averages. It's approaching support. We're a little bit overdone, regardless of whether the market should be bearish or not. We're overdone on the downside. We need to have some kind of a bounce before deciding whether this is a bounce and a continue back up or just a short-term retracement and a continuation back down. But we do need to have a bounce. So my preferred trade for early this week would be to look and see, right, can we now get a bounce off the support level? If we come down towards that level, especially a little bit further down would be great. Come down to there, I'd be looking for a retracement back into these moving averages, which also happens to be around about that 50 to 62% sweet spot. Looking for a pullback into that kind of zone. And then that would be my exit for any long trade, and I'll be looking to see is there any reason now to be going short as we pull back down, and there may well be reasons to be going short, looking for that slightly deeper pullback back into monthly support before continuing on in the uptrend. I'll assess that as and when we get there, looking at the levels to see if there's any reason to be buying in the longer term, but more than likely we'll need to see a turnaround in the daily and weekly candles. At the moment we don't have that, so we want to trade with that market momentum, which at the moment is short term to the downside. Hope that helps everybody. Happy trading, have a great week, and looking forward to next week's update and seeing if these candles have changed and if the outlook in the short term or the long term has changed. We'll see that in the candles first.